Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, is presently encountering a monetary and private tempest that could shatter even the toughest of souls with fresh updates, exposing a pile of liabilities and a venture in turmoil, exactly as she gets ready to be displaced from her enduring residence at Royal Lodge. Visualize the burden of confronting hundreds of thousands of pounds in unsettled invoices while the actual shelter above your crown is being snatched away by the monarchy itself. Greetings, cherished audience, and gratitude for accompanying us today as we explore a tale of endurance, regal obligation, and the severe truths of existence on the edge of the British throne. Before we plunge into the complex specifics of this evolving circumstance, kindly spare a second to follow our station and press the alert chime so you never overlook a notification on the experiences of the royal household. The lady the globe fondly recognises as Fergie has forever been a character of immense curiosity, a tornado of vitality who wed into the Earth's most renowned lineage, merely to discover herself steering a course filled with public observation and personal battle. At 66 years of age, a period when numerous people are anticipating the peaceful ease of pensioning and the delight of their grandchildren, Sarah Ferguson is alternatively gazing at a new sequence of career and private strikes that have left confidants stating she is in a truly terrible state. The heart of this recent anguish sits in the freezing, solid figures submitted with Companies House, exposing the unstable condition of her personal commercial enterprise, Ginger and Moss. Ginger and Moss was intended to be a foundation of Sarah's monetary autonomy, a personal company through which she aspired to promote and vend a selected collection of opulent teas and fine ornaments. It was an endeavour birthed from optimism and the Duchess's indisputable talent for marketing and lifestyle business creation. Nevertheless, the newest fiscal revelations have sketched a far more grim portrait than anybody expected. Consistent with a thorough article by the Daily Mail, the ledgers for Ginger and Moss reveal a stunning £363,000 worth of unpaid debts. When an individual examines the financial statement, the scenario turns even more worrying. The business declares a shortfall in funds and savings totalling £321,000. This is notwithstanding the corporation possessing roughly £43,000 in resources. To grasp this fiscal decline's path, we must view the year-on-year data. For the term ending in March 2025, the loss has truly widened. In 2024, the stated shortfall sat at £34,000. This rise implies that instead of gaining stability, the business is sinking further into debt, creating a monetary swamp for the Duchess while her private life is already under massive strain. The fantasy of a thriving tea and ornament kingdom appears to be sliding through her grasp, substituted by the dark truth of bankruptcy filings and growing debts. The origins of these fiscal woes might be tied to the organisation's framework history and its partnerships. Ginger and Moss is jointly owned with a corporation recognised as Gate Ventures plc. To mention that Gate Ventures has possessed a rocky past would be a minimisation. The business went into administration back in 2020, leaving behind a path of arrears totalling a massive £24 million. This connection has thrown a long shade over Sarah's commercial concerns. Even presently, years after Gate Ventures failed, a credit to Ginger and Moss stays unpaid. The most recent bankruptcy updates suggest that liquidators are still busily chasing this liability. The vocabulary utilised by the adjusters in their formal filings is revealing. They have declared that conversations have been continuing during the assessment phase concerning this unpaid credit. While the manner is businesslike, the aim is obvious. They stay optimistic about obtaining a significant recoupment for the assets of the collapsed Gate Ventures. For Sarah, this signifies the danger of lawful and monetary collection moves keeps hanging over her, adding a tier of constant anxiety to her everyday existence. It is a vast distance from the calm picture of a royal noblewoman drinking tea. It is the truth of a trader trapped in the cogs of corporate dissolution. This monetary emergency does not occur in a void. It is transpiring against the setting of a massive change in Sarah's housing situation and her standing inside the monarchy ranking. For years, Sarah has split the vast and antique royal lodge in Windsor Great Park with her prior spouse, Prince Andrew. Despite their separation decades earlier, the duo have kept a notoriously near bond. Frequently depicted as the most joyful parted pair in the globe, Royal Lodge has been their haven, a 30-room manor that offered a feeling of firmness and consistency for their girls, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Yet, the gusts of alteration drifting from Buckingham Palace have arrived at the entrances of Windsor. King Charles III, in his attempt to update and trim down the crown, has been inspecting the expenses linked with non-active royals and the huge lands they occupy. The monarch has reportedly been placing substantial strain on the Duke and Duchess of York to leave Royal Lodge. The causes are complex, spanning from the steep price of safety and upkeep to the king's wish to redistribute regal assets. For Sarah, the idea of moving out is not merely about forfeiting a house. It is about losing the residence that has been the hub of her universe for 20 years. The word of the approaching relocation has been a sour tablet to ingest. Updates imply that the Duchess is confronting this new hit with a burdened spirit, especially arriving on the back of the forfeiture of her formal regal ranks and the official separation from the institution that trailed her split and following controversies. Although she has constantly laboured to keep a favourable public image, the gathered burden of these incidents is rumoured to be exacting a cost. An informant talking to the Telegraph portrayed her present condition in sharp words, stating she is in a truly poor state. This contact, someone near to the circumstance, emphasised the mental fatigue that stems from being continuously under attack, both fiscally and socially. Still, those who recognise Sarah Ferguson also realise that she is a lady of incredible toughness. The identical contact who depicted her as being in a poor state also observed her typical resolve, adding, "But she will brush herself off and try to rebuild herself again some way." This has been the rhythm of Sarah's existence. She is a female who has encountered the tallest summits of regal living and the deepest pits of public shame. However, she has consistently discovered a method to clean herself off. Whether it was via her triumphant children's novels, her position as a representative for Weight Watchers, or her diverse media cameos, she has a record of converting hardship into a fresh chance. But reconstruction at 66 is a distinct hurdle than reconstruction in one's 30s or 40s. The monetary terrain is more involved. The public gaze is perhaps more sceptical, and the bodily and sentimental power needed to begin anew is tougher to gather. Moreover, Sarah has lately confronted meaningful wellness trials, having been identified with and cared for regarding both breast cancer and skin cancer inside a very brief span. These medical alarms would be sufficient to level anybody. Still, she has utilised her stage to boost mindfulness and urge others to get examined. Her courage in the presence of sickness has gained her a massive amount of esteem, but it also highlights the delicacy of her present status. The monetary specifics of ginger and moss are especially touching because they signify a botched effort at self-reliance. For a lady who has often been judged for her dependence on the monarchy or rich pals, this enterprise was intended to be her own. The truth that it is now laden with £363,000 in invoices and a rising shortfall is a private flop that must sting intensely. It provokes queries regarding the counsel she has obtained and the feasibility of the opulent sector she was attempting to access in a globe where the price of existing is a worry for everybody. Maybe the bazaar for high-class royal-labelled teas and gems was merely too narrow or too crowded. As we observe the stats, the 361,000's loss, the 24 million failure of her ally firm, the 363,000 in debts, we spot more than digits on a leaf. We spot the fight of a lady trying to sustain a mode and legacy that is increasingly clashing with her true fiscal fact. The adjuster's wish for a significant recoupment from Ginger and Moss implies that the Duchess might be compelled to resolve these arrears personally or watch the business closed completely, which would be another public shame. The scenario at Royal Lodge contributes a level of immediacy to these monetary troubles. If she and Prince Andrew are compelled to relocate to a tinier, more humble estate, such as Frogmore Cottage, which has been proposed as a likely new residence, the shift will be a sharp memory of their lowered rank. Although Frogmore is by no means a hut, it is a major drop down from the splendour of Royal Lodge. For Sarah, who has passed decades attempting to hold the York clan at the core of regal existence, this physical move signifies a wider sidelined status. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, Sarah's loyal girls, are surely observing this event with huge worry. Both ladies have constructed their own existences, professions, and households, but they have continually stayed fiercely faithful to their mum. They have viewed her through her tallest peaks and deepest dips, and this present section is probably one of the most hard they have observed. The poor state the Duchess locates herself in will certainly be sensed by the whole clan, who must now steer through the intricacies of their dad's scandals and their mum's fiscal fragility. The contact's remark about Sarah trying to rebrand herself again some way implies that we have not seen the end of the Duchess of York. She is a survivor by instinct. Maybe she will revert to scribing, a sector where she has witnessed true triumph with her period love stories and kids' books. Or maybe she will discover a fresh spot in the realm of podcasting or broadcasting, where her heat and frank spirit often connect with crowds. Nevertheless, the shade of the Ginger and Moss liability will trail her until it is settled. The wider consequences for the regal household are also meaningful. King Charles's method regarding the York issue is a plain sign of how he plans to govern. He is ranking the efficacy and standing of the crown above the private ease of his extended kin. While this might be vital for the long-run survival of the establishment, it builds a severe climate for those like Sarah, who found themselves shielded under the rule of the late Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen was noted to possess a huge amount of care for Sarah, often asking her to lodge at Balmoral even after the split, supplying a cushion that no longer remains. Lacking that regal guard, Sarah is meeting the total power of trade, truth, and public sentiment. The Daily Mail and the Telegraph, by carrying these fiscal specifics to view, have placed the Duchess in a spot where she must tackle these matters directly. There is no longer any space for the vagueness that often circles royal funds. The Company's House submissions are public log, and they narrate a tale of a venture in pain. As we ponder on Sarah Ferguson's voyage, we view a lady who has led an existence of amazing difference. She has been a royal highness and a private resident, a millionaire and a borrower, a style idol and a target of mockery. Through it all, she has sustained a vibe of Ferginess, that unstoppable soul that renders her both divisive and deeply mortal. This most recent fresh strike is likely one of the most demanding she has met because it mixes fiscal ruin with the forfeiture of her abode and a feeling of mental drainage. The query now is what arrives subsequently for the Duchess of York. Will she be able to clear the arrears of Ginger and Moss and proceed with a fresh scheme? Will the shift from Royal Lodge be the spark for a more silent private existence? Or will it ignite a new age of public action as she toils to reconstruct her funds? The globe will be observing tightly as she steers this hard changeover. Her tale acts as a memory that even behind the gold entrances of regal homes, life can be chaotic, complex, and filled with the identical monetary worries that many persons meet. The size might be distinct, but the strain of arrears and the dread of forfeiting one's house are general. Sarah Ferguson's capacity to brush herself off has become her signature, and many will be cheering for her to locate her stability once more. We must also weigh the function of the adjusters and the continuing talks concerning the unpaid credit. This is not a state that will be fixed overnight. The lawful procedures involved in management and dissolution are sluggish and careful. As the adjusters aim for a significant retrieval, the Duchess will probably stay under a fog of fiscal doubt for some span. This doubt is maybe the most exhausting facet of all, stopping her from fully advancing with any fresh endeavours. In the centre of all this, Sarah's dedication to her philanthropic labour proceeds. She has frequently stated that her labour with kids and her wellness support give her a feeling of aim that goes beyond her private woes. Maybe it is this concentration on others that will finally help her discover the power to rebuild herself once more. The Duchess possesses a distinct skill to bond with folks on a soulful plane, and that stays her biggest plus. As we finish this deep plunge into the present condition of Sarah Ferguson's matters, it is obvious that she is at a junction. The mix of the Ginger and Moss fiscal filings, the nearing exit from Royal Lodge, and the private cost these incidents have exacted signals a meaningful pivoting spot in her life. Whether she can switch this poor state into a fresh start waits to be viewed, but if the past is any ruler, the Duchess of York will not go under without a duel. What are your ideas on this circumstance? Do you believe the monarch is being too severe on the Yorks? Or is it moment for them to turn wholly self-reliant? How do you feel Sarah should go regarding her next rebrand? We would like to catch your views in the remark area beneath. Your inputs and debates are what render this group so lively. If you deem this clip educational and captivating, kindly give it a thumbs up and distribute it with folks who might be curious in the newest royal events. It aids our station to expand and permits us to keep bringing you deep reporting of the tales that count. Gratitude for passing your hours with us today. We realise there are many spots you could head for your updates, and we truly value your faith in our station. Remain focused for more alerts as this narrative proceeds to open. We will be here to fetch you the newest truths, breakdown, and views into the existences of the British royal household. Before you leave, do not forget to look at our other clips on the royal clan, where we examine everything from the King's fitness to the destiny of the junior batch of royals. There is constantly something fresh to find in the realm of the crown. Once more, gratitude for viewing. We trust you have a marvellous day, and we look ahead to spotting you in our following clip. Take heed and farewell for now. As we explore deeper into the details of the Ginger and Moss monetary condition, it is vital to grasp the wider setting of Sarah Ferguson's commercial past. This is not the maiden occasion the Duchess has located herself in a shaky fiscal spot. In the initial 1990s, trailing her parting from Prince Andrew, it was chronicled that she had gathered massive liabilities, some evaluations proposing they were in the millions. During that period, she notoriously laboured her path out of those arrears via a sequence of major public trade pacts, most significantly, her enduring alliance with Weight Watchers and her Budgie the Little Helicopter novel collection. This chronicle of monetary spikes and crashes is a vital segment of the Sarah Ferguson story. It displays a female who is not fearful to assume hazards, but who maybe misses the firm grip or the cautious guidance required to keep long-run fiscal safety. Ginger and Moss was planned to be a more polished, maybe more monarch-linked trade, centering on the distinctly British goods of tea and gems. The collapse of this enterprise to find grip, as proven by the £363,000 in invoices, implies a gap between the label's dream and the bazaar's truth. The participation of Gate Ventures plc is another crucial chunk of the riddle. When Sarah stepped into this alliance, Gate Ventures was viewed as a climbing participant in the funding globe with stakes in broadcasting and leisure. Nevertheless, its dramatic crash in 2020, owing £24 million, was a key warning sign. The truth that Ginger and Moss is still trapped in the wake of that failure, with adjusters searching for a significant retrieval, implies that the Duchess's trade concerns were bound to a very rocky base. This connection has surely hindered the firm's capacity to draw fresh funding or to function with the requisite funds. The shortfall of £321,000, which has risen from the prior year, is especially worrying because it implies that the business's costs are continuously exceeding its revenue. For a private company of this scale, such a loss is hard to bear without steady injections of money. With merely £43,000 in resources, there is very little shield to defend the firm from its lenders. This is the new strike that the accounts allude to. The understanding that the enterprise is not merely battling, but is in a condition of persistent decay. The sentimental weight of these monetary battles cannot be exaggerated. At 66, the Duchess is at a stage where the rebranding, the contact notes, becomes more intimidating. The bodily cost of her recent cancer cures, mixed with the strain of the Royal Lodge scenario, builds a perfect cyclone of trouble. When the confidant states she is in a truly poor state, they are probably pointing to this gathered impact. It is not merely regarding the cash. It is regarding the forfeiture of safety, the forfeiture of rank, and the total fatigue of needing to commence anew for what must seem like the 100th time. The Royal Lodge scenario is especially emblematic. For Sarah, the home has been more than simply a dwelling. It has been a station of functions and a sign of her lasting link to the royal clan. Residing there with Prince Andrew permitted her to keep a certain grade of regal way of life that would be unfeasible to copy elsewhere on her distinct revenue. The strain from King Charles to relocate is a distinct hint that this age is reaching a finish. The monarch's trimmed-down method is not just regarding digits. It is regarding the picture of the crown. Having a non-active royal household residing in a 30-room manor at the public's or the throne's cost is increasingly hard to defend in current Britain. The shift to a fresh, tinier residence will demand a major adaptation. It will probably signify a decrease in personnel, a smaller area for entertaining, and a more humble public image. For somebody like Sarah, who flourishes on action and social involvement, this could be a tough changeover. Still, it could also be a chance for a fresh beginning, an opening to streamline her existence and centre on what truly counts to her, such as her kin and her philanthropic acts. Her girls, Beatrice and Eugenie, will surely be her biggest fount of backing during this period. Both nobles have displayed immense growth and grace in managing their distinct functions inside the clan, and they have always been shielding of their mum. They are probably engaged in assisting her steer the logistics of the shift and the knots of her trade matters. The might of the York family bond has always been one of their most distinct traits, and it will be tried now more than ever. The public's view of Sarah Ferguson stays involved. There are those who respect her toughness and her grounded spirit, viewing her as a casualty of a stiff, regal scheme. Others are more judging, seeing her monetary woes as the outcome of weak wisdom and a rejection to exist within her funds. This newest update will probably cement both of these standpoints. Nevertheless, regardless of one's thought of her, it is difficult not to sense a feeling of pity for someone meeting such a major sequence of blows at this phase of their existence. The adjuster's continuing assessment of Ginger and Moss will be the following key marker in this tale. If they are capable to retrieve the unpaid credit, it could supply some ease, but it could also signify more lawful and fiscal strain for the Duchess. The result of these chats will shape the destiny of the firm and, to some degree, Sarah's monetary name. In the interim, the Duchess will probably proceed with her public duties and her scribing. She has a novel circuit planned and diverse cameos in the schedule. These actions supply her with a badly needed revenue and a method to stay linked with her crowd. Her capacity to keep a bright and businesslike face despite her private battles is a proof to her skill and her resolve to care for herself. As we conclude this broad gaze at the newest events in the existence of Sarah Ferguson, we are recalled of the shaky nature of existence on the rims of royalty. The allure and advantage are often partnered by fierce checks and a void of true fiscal safety. For the Duchess of York, the poor state she presently locates herself in is a trial of the tallest rank. But as her past displays, she is a female who should never be ruled out. What do you conceive Sarah's following step should be? Should she centre on her scribing, or is there another zone where she could shine? And what about the Royal Lodge? Should the monarch permit her and Andrew to remain, or is he correct to push for a relocation? Kindly distribute your ideas in the remarks beneath. We prize your angle and watch for a spirited debate. Do not fail to like this clip if you deemed it wise and distribute it with your pals and kin. Your backing aids us to keep generating top-grade material about the royal clan and the tales that mould our globe. Gratitude once more for viewing. We value your interaction and your focus in our station. Stay focused for our following clip where we will fetch you more updates and breakdown from the core of the British Crown. Until then, take heed and have a marvellous day. The Chronicle of the Duchess of York is a gripping mix of intense theatre and mortal frailty. It is a tale that echoes because it brushes on subjects we all grasp: the wish for freedom, the ache of forfeiture, and the amazing power it takes to keep moving when matters get hard. Sarah Ferguson has passed a lifetime in the public gaze, and she has managed the glare with a distinct blend of elegance and toughness. This present fresh strike is merely the newest obstacle in an existence that has been packed with them. As we view the digits again, the £363,000 in invoices, the £321,000 shortfall, we spot the solid proof of a dream that did not quite manifest. Ginger and Moss was intended to be a victory tale, a proof to Sarah's trade skill. Instead, it has turned into a fount of tension and a topic of paper banners. But maybe in the broad plan of matters, this flop will guide to something superior. Maybe it will compel a streamlining and a recentering that will finally fetch the Duchess more calm and firmness. The shift from Royal Lodge, while hurting, could also be viewed in this brightness. A tinier residence, a plainer existence, and a concentration on the items that truly fetch delight, like her grandkids, could be precisely what she requires at this phase of her life. The Duchess has forever been a lady of immense soul, and that soul is best utilised when she is encircled by her cherished ones, distant from the strains of keeping a grand manor and a sinking trade kingdom. We will be present to record whatever arrives subsequently for Sarah Ferguson. Whether it is a triumphant fresh novel, a new philanthropic task, or simply a silent shift to a fresh residence, we will fetch you the tale with the regard and specific it merits. Gratitude for being a segment of our group and for trailing this voyage with us. Before we sign off, a concluding memory to follow and press that alert chime. We hold a lot of thrilling material arriving, and we do not wish you to miss a thing. From regal past to the newest updates, we are your main fount for all matters tied to the British royal household. Gratitude for viewing, and as always, we look ahead to hearing from you in the remarks. Your input is immensely key to us, and we would adore hearing your ideas on these intricate and gripping tales. Have a grand day, and we will spot you in the following clip. The toughness of Sarah Ferguson is truly something to observe. Even as she meets these fiscal and private tests, she proceeds to appear for Labour and to champion the missions she trusts in. It is this vibe that has held her in the public's loves for nearly 40 years. No matter what the company's house records state, or what the monarch rules about Royal Lodge, the Duchess of York stays a key character in the regal story. A lady who has led life on her specific terms, for good or for bad. In the approaching months, we will probably view the closing of the Ginger and Moss scenario and the concluding specifics of the relocation from Royal Lodge. These will be major times, not just for Sarah, but for the whole York clan. We will be present to supply the setting and the breakdown you require to grasp these shifts. Gratitude for your moments today. It has been a joy distributing the tale with you. We trust you deemed it educational and that it gave you a richer grasp of the hurdles facing the Duchess of York. Until next occasion, gratitude for being a faithful watcher of our station. Farewell. As we arrive at the finish of our text, it is valuable noting the distinct dates and stats one final time to guarantee the whole portrait is plain. The shortfall for Ginger and Moss for the year to March 2025 is a rise on the £34,000 reported in 2024. This pattern is what has ignited so much worry among fiscal experts and regal watchers alike. The £363,000 in invoices and the £43,000 in resources build a grim fiscal truth that cannot be overlooked. And with the shade of Gate Ventures plc and its £24 million crash still hanging, the route ahead for Ginger and Moss is filled with hardship. Still, as the contact told the Telegraph, Sarah will brush herself off. This wording perfectly holds the spirit of the Duchess. She is a warrior, a female who has steered the knots of regal existence with a distinct and lasting soul. Whatever the horizon holds, we can be confident that Sarah Ferguson will meet it with her typical vitality and resolve. To truly grasp the weight of the Royal Lodge scenario, we must gaze at the past of the estate itself. Royal Lodge has been a pillar of the Windsor land for centuries. It was the favoured dwelling of the Queen Mother, and its spreading parks and noble rooms have held ages of regal meetings. For Prince Andrew, who inked a 75-year contract on the estate in 2003, it signifies his final existing trace of regal rank. Nevertheless, the contract arrives with ties fastened, specifically the duty to keep the estate to a tall level. Updates have implied that the home is in want of major fixes, with guesses reaching as high as £7 million. If Andrew cannot fund these fixes, he may be in violation of his contract, giving the monarch a lawful path to take back the estate. For Sarah, this contributes another tier of intricacy. She is not a side to the contract, but she has funded heavily in rendering the house a home. The idea of being pushed out because of a void of cash for upkeep is a sour paradox given her recent trade flops. It spotlights the shaky nature of grace and favour dwellings, where one stay is always at the will of the ruling king. The monarch's choice to sever the £3 million a year private safety team for Royal Lodge is maybe the most major step yet. Without this safety, the estate becomes a burden rather than a haven. It is a plain signal that the times of taxpayer-funded or Crown-financed defence for non-active royals are finished. This blockade of Royal Lodge, as some papers have named it, is a high-stakes match of regal chess with Sarah and Andrew trapped in the centre. But what regarding the Ginger and Moss label itself? What was the dream? Sarah aspired to tap into the global interest with British legacy. The teas were intended to be fetched from the finest lands, and the gems were drafted to show her private mode, daring, colourful, and unapologetically rich. Nevertheless, the opulence sector is famously hard to breach into, especially without the support of a major style house or a huge promotion budget. The flop of the firm to turn again implies that the Fergie name alone was not ample to beat the monetary gusts of the post-pandemic globe. Furthermore, the link to Gate Ventures plc was a key mistake in wisdom. When star-led firms partner with funding groups that miss firmness, the outcomes are often tragic. The adjuster's chase of the unpaid credit is a memory that in the realm of high finance, there are no regal passes. Sarah is being handled as any other trade owner would be, and the observation is relentless. In the presence of all this, Sarah's girls, Beatrice and Eugenie, have become her stones. They are frequently spotted with her at public functions, supplying a clear sign of clan unity. Beatrice, in specific, has assumed a more visible part inside the regal group, often acting as a span between the Yorks and the remainder of the household. Her wedding to Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi has also brought a fresh level of firmness and global link to the clan. Eugenie, meanwhile, has found triumph in the art realm and has utilised her stage to push for natural missions. Both ladies have displayed that it is feasible to keep a regal link while constructing distinct existences, a teaching that their mum is now having to study the hard path. Public view of the Duchess stays a captivating inquiry in conflicts. In the United States, she is frequently viewed with huge fondness, seen as a real person who has battled and endured. Her cameos on chat programs and her labour as a world representative for diverse labels have been well greeted. In the UK, however, the media is often more judging, centering on her fiscal slips and her nearness to Prince Andrew's scandals. This ocean-crossing split in her name is something she has steered for years, often locating more triumph and backing abroad than at home. As she nears her late 60s, the query of what rebranding looks like becomes even more urgent. Some have implied she might lean into the realm of digital media, maybe launching a podcast or a YouTube station of her own, where she can speak straight to her crowd without the screen of the classic press. Her period novels, such as Her Heart for a Compass, have displayed she possesses a flair for narration and a faithful readership. Maybe a full-time profession as a scribe is the route to the fiscal freedom she so badly desires. The function of the late Queen Elizabeth II cannot be overlooked in this tale. The Queen was a steadying power for the Yorks, a mother-in-law who prized faith and family above all else. Her passing removed the regal armour that had defended Sarah for decades. King Charles, while he surely holds care for his brother and sister-in-law, is functioning with a distinct set of priorities. He is gazing at the long-run survival of the crown in a globe that is increasingly doubting of heir privilege. In this fresh age, there is less space for the edge members of the clan to live in noble manners at the crown's cost. The likely shift to Frogmore Cottage is a flawless instance of this fresh reality. Once the dwelling of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, Frogmore is a lovely estate, but it is much tinier and more confined than Royal Lodge. It would signify a major downsizing for Sarah and Andrew, both in terms of physical area and social rank. Still, it could also be an opening for them to live more within their funds and to step away from the steady strain of keeping a 30-room manor. As we close this truly thorough gaze at Sarah Ferguson's present condition, we are left with a portrait of a lady at a deep junction. The £363,000 in debt, the £321,000 trade shortfall, and the nearing shift from Royal Lodge are all part of a wider tale of change. It is the finish of one age and the unsure start of another. But if there is one thing we know about the Duchess of York, it is that she is a survivor. She possesses a distinct skill to find optimism in the centre of trouble and to turn a poor state into a fresh chance. What do you believe is the most key teaching from Sarah's tale? Is it about the risks of blending royalty and commerce? Or is it about the value of family toughness? And how do you see the York label growing in the years to arrive? We look ahead to your ideas in the remarks. Gratitude once more for your amazing backing of our station. We are pledged to bringing you the most specific and wise reporting of the royal clan, and your interaction is what makes it all feasible. Do not fail to like, share, and follow for more deep analysis. Gratitude for viewing, and as always, we look ahead to hearing from you in the remarks. Your input is immensely key to us, and we love hearing your ideas on these intricate and gripping stories. Have a grand day, and we will spot you in the following clip. The toughness of Sarah Ferguson is truly something to view. Even as she meets these fiscal and private trials, she proceeds to appear, to labour, and to champion the missions she trusts in. It is this vibe that has held her in the public's loves for nearly 40 years. No matter what the company's house filings state or what the monarch rules about Royal Lodge, the Duchess of York stays a central character in the regal story. A lady who has led life on her specific terms, for good or for bad. In the approaching months, we will probably view the closing of the Ginger and Moss scenario and the concluding details of the shift from Royal Lodge. These will be major times, not just for Sarah, but for the whole York clan. We will be present to supply the setting and the breakdown you require to grasp these events. Gratitude for your moments today. It has been a joy sharing this tale with you. We trust you deemed it educational and that it gave you a richer grasp of the hurdles facing the Duchess of York. Until next occasion, gratitude for being a faithful watcher of our station. Farewell. As we arrive at the ultimate finish of our text, it is valuable noting the distinct dates and stats one final time to guarantee the whole portrait is plain. The shortfall for Ginger and Moss for the year to March 2025 is a rise on the £34,000 reported in 2024. This pattern is what has ignited so much worry among fiscal experts and regal watchers alike. The £363,000 in invoices and the £43,000 in resources build a grim fiscal truth that cannot be overlooked. And with the shade of Gate Ventures plc and its £24 million collapse still hanging, the route ahead for Ginger and Moss is filled with hardship. Still, as the contact told the Telegraph, Sarah will brush herself off. This wording perfectly holds the spirit of the Duchess. She is a warrior, a female who has steered the knots of regal existence with distinct and lasting spirit. Whatever the horizon holds, we can be confident that Sarah Ferguson will meet it with her typical vitality and resolve. Gratitude once more for accompanying us for this deep gaze at the life and hurdles of Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. Your backing and interaction mean the globe to us. Do not fail to like, share and follow, and we will spot you in our following clip.